Hi guys, it's Dean,
I'm Dell.
and this is the Detailers Guild podcast. And yeah, we'll catch up from where we left off the last time, I guess. Um, what have you been up to since we last got together?
You know what? Actually, I've been going through, since I've had a lot of time on my hands to do other things, I've been actually going through organizing my music. Um, because, as I mentioned before, I'm in the process of getting my show back off the ground, so to speak. Because with the pandemic, obviously, things have been altered for a while. So anybody who has been listening to the station has been listening to old shows, but I appreciate you listening nonetheless. But it has brought out new things in the sense that it's kind of sped up the process of me doing one of the things that I've dreamt to do for a while, and that is to have my own show independent of the university. So that's going to be something that's going to be starting out fairly soon. And I'll still be doing the show at the university, so that show won't be ending, but we'll have two shows. Also, been as a lot of people have been doing, have been preparing for this new school year, which is obviously for people who have kids in school right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Getting prepared for this online schooling and whatnot is a bit of a challenge, but we'll see. We'll see what the attention span, because that's the one thing that I'm really interested to see how this works. Because for older kids, I suppose it'd be a little bit easier, but when you have kids like elementary school age kids, to keep their attention for any length of time can be a bit of a challenge.
Oh yeah.
And then on top of that, you don't really have, although I suppose if it's in a virtual room, the teacher will be there, but it's not going to be the same.
No.
So for them to stay focused, and from everything that I've seen, they have 5 hours a day of work that they have to do. And the thing is, it's structured to the point where it's not like they can just do it when, like, it literally is.
Yeah.
Class A, Class B, and the kids are sitting there, and they get a lunch period where they can go away, and then they got to come back in front of the. So they're sitting in front of that computer for a while.
Oh yeah.
So this is going to be it's going to be challenging, but you know what? It's one of the things that we had to adjust to.
Yeah.
For the time being, and hopefully we don't go into a phase 2.
Well, I have one son that's in university, and he's going to be doing all this stuff online.
Yeah.
So it was a little life-changing around here because, as you know, I work at home, right? So, I mean, I've got compressors going and vacuums going and different stuff. So we kind of had to figure out a way that he can work and have peace and quiet, and I can get what I have to get done. So this is my studio and my office. So I kind of told him he can use this during the day when we're not shooting our stuff and I'm not doing office work. So during the day, my son has the opportunity to come in here and use the computers for his schoolwork if it helps him. Because I'm trying to work with him the most I can, and if I have to do something noisy,
Yeah.
I can. The car's here for 8 hours. So what I can do is I can do the noisy stuff before he starts class, and then it's done, and then it's just, dusting. It's not stuff that's going to bother him. But yeah, this has changed everybody's life.
Absolutely.
Because all our routines are thrown out the window and things are different. You got to roll with the punches, I guess. But yeah, even meals and stuff is a little bit different too. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you got to schedule everything around school, and a lot of times, like, Andrew will come running out of his room, grab a snack, and then he's got to go back down in his room because it's just like real school.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I see we have a little visitor here today.
Yes, we have a little bit. Yeah. The 4-legged variety.
Yeah, this is for everybody out there. This is Lola. This is my puppy. Yeah, we actually have 2 dogs. We have they're both Bichons. We have one that's 10 years old, and this one, she's just almost 2. But anyway, yeah, that's a little plug, for the podcast. We are pet friendly.
Yes. And hypoallergenic.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we're not gonna be sneezing while we're doing our podcast. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So we've both been busy with our stuff going on, and as you can see, we both have our favorite shirts on today.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd just cover that because you guys are probably wondering why why they wearing the same shirt.
Well, with this COVID and everything else, and like the stores are hard to get into. You have limited clothing choices apparently. So but you know what? The coffee's different.
Oh yeah. Have you been buying a lot more stuff online?
You know what? I find that online purchasing definitely is something that's gone up. And the other thing that I'll say is because I like playing video games.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was very resistant to buying digital copies of games.
Okay.
Not that I really had a problem with it, but I've always been a fan of having a physical copy of something.
Yeah.
But then a couple of games that I wanted to play came out during the lockout period, so it's like, you know what? I could either wait until stores opened up, or I could buy it online. And so I ended up buying them online, and you know what? I'll tell you, for all the places that are hurting right now for business, and I think we kind of touched on this a little bit in the last podcast, but any place that has either online access or takeout, as far as like restaurants and that are concerned, they're cleaning up.
Yeah.
The ones that are really suffer, like the one as far as like restaurants are concerned, that I would think that would really suffer right now is a buffet. Oh, like if you're a buffet,
you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Because I can't picture any scenario where they would.
I was gonna say like with with the online stuff. Okay. Almost every day now, and it not that like I didn't used to buy online crazy stuff and stuff like that, but. Every single day there's a truck outside my house. It's either FedEx or UPS or Canada. Somebody's always here. And even a couple of U-Haul trucks stopped and I'm like, what's going on? And it's a delivery truck. I don't know what happened, but I've seen U-Haul trucks coming out and delivering parcels and stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's something different. But it's been funny because the last month I got my skid came in from LA, and it was 970 pounds, right? So my neighbors were all watching all these trucks coming to the house, and there was 5 of us living here. My oldest boy moved out, but there was 5 of us all in the house. So that the poor delivery guys are out there every single day dropping stuff off of my house. So anyways, the one guy from FedEx made a joke, and he goes, your wife's spending your money again. I said, yeah. I said, she gets a lot of little packages. I said, I got one big one coming. He goes, really? I said, yeah, 1 ton. What? I said, yeah, wait. I said, I got a semi truck coming here this afternoon dropping off my parcel. I said, believe me, it's a lot more than my wife spent in the last month. But like with the online stuff, I'm getting more comfortable with it. It's not as bad because I'm not as nervous now. Before I was scared because you go and you buy something and you're worried. What if the connection gets interrupted and they get my information but I don't get my product or And now I'm getting a little more comfortable with it.
Well, I think the other thing is too. I think there was that. Then you also had the factor that if I buy like a shirt or a pair of pants or something like that, what if it doesn't fit?
Yeah.
Or even just the length of time that it would take for you to get it. And I'll tell you that all things considered, especially considering how many people were getting online stuff because everything is going on, I have to say that there were delays, but all things considered, the delivery time wasn't bad.
I found that too. Like most of the stuff, if you're ordering inside of Canada, and this is saying a lot. Our country's pretty massive. For you guys watching the U.S. and stuff like that, it takes 5 days to drive from one side of the country to the other, and that's being polite because it's a 52-hour drive from where we are in Ontario to out west. Now that's not even going from the East Coast So I mean, to go all the way across the whole country, it's a good
Well,
good
that's the thing.
span.
Well, even going through, if you're going from border to border, from Windsor to the uh, border of Ontario and
Yeah,
Manitoba, it's 21. I think it's like 21, 22 hours.
yeah.
It's a long. It's a long way.
Well, I know it's 52 hours. Where my brother's at in Fort Mac. Okay, that's northern Alberta. It's near Alaska, so the people in America that are following this kind of get a bearing on where it is. So if you drove from where I'm at right now to Alaska, you're looking at over 52 hours of driving,
That's a lot of driving.
which you know what I mean. Like that's a little too much for my taste. Eh? That's the time I say, give me a plane ticket, I'm gone. Because I'm not doing that.
No. And you know it's going to take you longer than that because there's no way that you could drive that straight.
No.
So you're going to have to take stops. So all things considered, like you said, that's like 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it's
Ridiculous.
too much.
Yeah.
Like driving in the United States is enough. Like if we go from here to Florida, that's a couple of days. Eh? Like I drove to Georgia, and we were gonna do it in a day, but then our car broke down in Lexington, Kentucky, and we had to get that fixed. And then we stayed overnight there, and then we went up the next day. But and that's another thing too. I'm just gonna give a fast plug to a couple people in the United States. Um, Kentucky is one of the nicest states, I've ever found in my life as far as the people go. When our car broke down, the state trooper zipped around. He did a big U-turn and he come right behind me, and I'm like, oh, good. He's going to give me a ticket for being parked beside the road. So, like, I can't do anything. The radiator let go. Everything's on the ground. I'm not going anywhere. He pulls around me. He says, what's the problem? And I said, well, my car broke down. And he looked. He saw my wife and kids in the car. And he says, I'll get you roadside assistance. And I'm thinking to myself, this is going to cost me. And I find out in Kentucky it's free. If your car breaks down, they'll come, they'll jump you, they'll pretty much do whatever they can to help you get back on the road. But I was just stunned because that state trooper didn't leave until that tow truck showed up. Like, I was amazed. Like, being Canadian, right? We go to the States and you see everything on TV and stuff like that, and you get a stupid perspective on what you think things are going to be like, but it's not the way you think. And when anybody from the States comes to Canada, it's not what you think either. No. Because they figure we're sitting around drinking beer, living in an igloo. That's not what's going on up here. It's a little different. But yeah, your perspective on what you think things are going to be and what they actually are two different things. Some of the nicest people I've ever met are in the States. And I wanted to plug one last thing before I give it back to you. Motor City Auto Spa, is in Michigan. Now, a lot of my customers used to come from Michigan over here, but because of what's going on, the border's closed and they can't get to me. And I just wanted to, give a personal thank you to Motor City Auto Spa because they've taken very good care of my customers that can no longer come here. And I reached out to them and and I said to them, look, there's nothing I can do. And that's one of the other things to get back to about helping each other. I mean, look, I could have, just let my customers fend for themselves, right? But I have a responsibility. These people have been coming to me for the last couple of years. And you know what? If you cannot physically help somebody, then at least be decent enough to pick up the phone or click on a messenger and get a hold of somebody that can help them. I mean, because it gets paid back. I know after this thing is done, I have every intention of going over and visiting these people face to face as soon as things calm down a bit. But you know what? They've done a phenomenal job, and thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. And I will forward this to you so you know how much I appreciate it. But yeah, I love the U.S. Like, I get along fantastic, and you have family in the States as well.
Well, yeah. So that's
where I'll turn the mic back to you.
Well, one of the things I think is interesting too, and I think it kind of goes along the lines of saying that sometimes what people or what images people give of other people or other places doesn't necessarily match up with the reality of the place itself.
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned, how when you went to Kentucky and how, hospitable the people were, how nice they were. Well, the thing about it is if you hear stereotypes about it, you may not think that going there that you might encounter the most nice people in the world. Yeah. But yet, when you got there, it was the exact opposite. And I say that to relay a story of my own, speaking of Canada.
Yeah.
Now, oftentimes you hear people say that, Canadians are polite and this, that, and the other. And this is a lot of times this is a stereotype that's given of Canadians.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases it is true. And I will say that on a whole, we do tend to be a little less obnoxious than people across the border. Although what I would say with that, though, is I think that to say that is a little bit misleading. Yeah. Because, first of all, they have roughly 330 million people in their country. We have like 37 million. So,
it's a big difference.
So the reality is, just by default, there's going to be more good people over there, but also more idiots. Yeah. Just because there's more people. And
I was going to say, too, the other thing is, in Canada, we're a lot more spread out.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you go to, like, Toronto or Vancouver. Yeah. But, we have a lot more elbow room.
So the other thing, in the story I was going to tell, is a quick one, is I went to Ridgetown. That's what it was, Ridgetown.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
Ridgetown, Ontario.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is, with Ridgetown, Ontario, you go there, now, they may have changed the sign since I was there.
Yeah.
But the last time I was there, I went to a conference when I was in high school. So this is going back a number of years.
Yeah.
And on the sign it said, the friendliest place in Ontario. Well, we're on the school bus going there, we're in high school. And the funny thing is, the very first thing we get greeted to is we're driving through, we're sitting at the back of the bus, the person in the car behind us, flips us the bird. Which we just thought was hilarious. It's like the friendliest space in Ontario, and the first one's like a fling. It's like, okay. So we just got a little kick out of that because, for being so friendly, it's like, okay.
Well, that's the thing. Like here where we are, you don't see usually you watch CNN or whatever. You don't see everybody holding hands, singing together, having a good time. Because it's not newsworthy. Nobody wants to see everybody getting along.
Yeah.
What do they show? Fighting. Yeah. They show shooting. They show murders. And they show all the stuff that's going to grab the headlines. And you know what? Like, if that's all you see, then that's what you think it is. Like, you're totally afraid to go there. And I'll be honest with you, okay? I grew up in Montreal, in Canada here, okay? And, I was born in Montreal, and we used to go back and visit. I grew up actually in this area, in Windsor. But long story short.
Too late.
Montreal is a big city, okay? And they had the Rock Machine, the Hells Angels, they have gangs there. The
Mafia.
I'm going to tell you something. It's a French version of New York City, okay? Now, in New York, there's very nice places to go in New York, and then there's other places that even the police won't go. It's same there. There's places in Montreal the cops won't go. They're terrified to go there, and I don't blame them because you're taking your life in your hands. But, it's like that all over. So if you think, I'm going to move to Canada, no. We have places, even in Windsor, there's places here I won't go at night. Because you're asking for trouble. Because, there's different elements there that are bad, and you need to avoid that stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you get perceptions, okay? And as far as the TV shows go, okay, like when I grew up here, I'm watching shows, movies and stuff from the States, and if you're watching westerns and stuff, they're in Kentucky and Texas, and all you see is guys getting shot in saloons, and
Yeah.
And I go over there, and there's no saloons around. There's no no people riding horseback. You see, like we're not the only ones that get screwed up over here, and everybody thinks it snows here year round, and you know. But yeah, we get a screwed up version of what the United States is like because all we see is we see the news and everything looks really bad, and then we see the movies, and the movies are portrayed as everybody's got a gun and everybody's shooting each other, and that's not what it is.
Well, I think one of the biggest things too is the advent of the 24-hour news cycle, because prior to that, you got your news in that, but it usually would come on at maybe like say 4, and then you get your late night news or whatever, and call it a day.
Yeah.
But now you have stations like CNN and stuff like that where they're showing news all day, but the problem is, it's not like it's news stories all day. You may have like, say 10 stories.
Yeah.
But then those 10 stories will repeat all day. Now, mind you, if there's a breaking story, it may come in. But other than that, you're seeing the same thing. So if you hear about a shooting that took place, say in Chicago, it was a big deal. So you hear that at 8.
Yeah.
Then you hear it at 8:30. Then you hear it at 9, and so on and so forth. And if you're someone who just sits there and just watches that all the time, then you're going to hear it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, it may be that you're only hearing that same particular bad story.
Yeah.
But if you've heard that story 10 times in one day, or if you jump from station to station to station, and you're getting that story here, there, and everywhere, now all of a sudden it seems like, man, you know what, I went through, and I was watching like 5 different stations for various reasons, and I heard 5 different shootings. Meanwhile, it may have only been one shooting, but because you heard about that same story 5 different places, it seems like, oh, this is just... But then meanwhile, yes, like you said, there's pockets of bad areas.
Oh, yeah.
But then you go over there and you realize that not everybody's trying to kill each other.
Yeah. You know what really opened my eyes, and this is what's going to tie this into the detailing in the podcast and stuff. Okay, because, usually we're supposed to talk about music and stuff, but it does tie in because... Here's the thing. I have a couple of buddies down south in Texas. I'm going to plug them. Landon Crawford and Carlos Serrano. Now these guys, they make it happen. These guys bust their ass. Pardon my language, but I mean, they work hard. Okay, these guys are really, really good. And you know what? I'm so proud of them because these guys are out there working, killing it every day. And they encourage a lot of guys to dig deep and work hard because both of them have injuries. Landon's got hurt serving, and Carlos got hurt coming off his motorcycle. And both of them have some serious injuries that they've recovered to the best of their ability from. And these guys are out there killing it, busting their butt every day, working hard. And you know what? There's no excuse. And the thing is, to tie this all together, I get to see these guys every day on YouTube, and I message them, and sometimes I talk to Carlos and stuff like that. That's how I learn what the United States is really like, because I'm talking to these people back and forth. If you want to learn what it's really like in a country, get yourself a friend that lives there on Facebook or whatever, and talk back and forth with them. Okay? And that's how you learn about culture. You learn it from the people on the ground, not the people with the camera and the spotlight and let's see how many people we can get to view us tonight. That's not that's not reality.
Although it's ironic that we're saying this if we're in front of a camera.
Oh yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is like if they watch us, this is real. I mean,
absolutely.
We're not sponsored by anybody at the moment. I mean, and it is a cheap plug. Extreme Car Cleaning is backing us at the moment. Yeah. That's, where the money's coming from to help us do what we got to do. But yeah, I mean, this is as real as it gets. I mean, we're just two guys chilling, talking, and we're both Canadian. Well, you were American, now you're Canadian, but
I'm Canadian by proxy.
Yeah, we're both living in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is how things go. I mean, we're just as laid back as they are down south. I mean, it's the same thing.
And you know what? All joking aside, it really drives home the point that if you really want to know about a culture, then you have to speak to the people. Because the thing is, if you're watching, and not to knock the news, because there's nothing wrong with watching the news, but the best way to learn about things is not only to watch the news, but get from other sources.
Oh yeah.
Because the problem is, if you just watch the news, depending on which station you're watching, one's going to have a certain political leaning or whatever, and then the other. So the thing is, if you want to really know what's going on, where there's no big pharma or whatever behind it, and you just want to know, okay, how do the people really feel? Talk to somebody who's there. So, like you said, if you're interacting with, just say, like a little YouTuber or just somebody that you just happen to meet, a pen pal, whatever, then you're gonna get an idea of how the country runs, because you're gonna hear just the little stories that would never make news, because you know what? Somebody going to the laundromat and seeing something silly isn't necessarily going to make the news unless the laundromat blows up.
Yeah.
You know what
that's the thing. Like, you know, I was nervous. I'm watching the news. They're showing the surging and all this stuff going on with COVID, right?
Yeah.
And the U.S. for the most part, not to be rude, but they seem to have it a lot worse than we do. Now, when I talk to Carlos, I mean, Carlos is doing the same thing we are. Like when he goes out in public and stuff like that, he's got the mask on, and you know, like Dell and I are both quarantined, and we've been quarantined forever, and you know, we're not interacting with very many people at all. So I mean, this is it, and we're in our little pod here. But yeah, like I mean, they practice. You know, they're being safe. They wear a mask when they go out and they're around customers and stuff like that. They're limiting their access to people. They're not out partying like crazy. Like the stuff that they show on the news is extreme. Like they're not going to COVID parties and all this crazy crap. But that's what makes the news. So you know, like one of the people I talked to, and you know, because of the guild, right? I had a guy that, you know, kept messaging me on Facebook, and he's in Baghdad. Okay, of all places, right? And I thought, you know what? This guy's messaged me like 15 times. So I'm going to see what he wants. You know, all this guy wanted to do was show me his shop. And I'm just a regular person, just like anybody else. I'm just a detailer, and you know, I own my own business, stuff like that. But this guy, he made out like it's a superstar. They contacted him. All I did was I messaged him live, and this guy lost it. He was so shocked that I was on the camera with him, talking to him, and saying hello and showing him my shop. He's yelling in Arabic to his buddies, "Come here," and he's pointing at his phone. But I look, and his shop looks like my shop. He's got 3M bottles of 3M compound on his shelves, just like I do. Like, I mean, the world is not that different. Like, they like to make us think, you know, the media likes to make us think that we're all different and we all want to fight with each other. It's not the way it is. I mean, most people want to mind their own business, work, and provide for their family.
Yeah.
We all have the same common goal in life. And that's why I think the Detailers Guild works, because we've luckily reached people in the automotive industry, and most of the people in the auto industry, we all just want to work, provide for our family, and do the best that we can possibly do. And at the end of the day, you know what? When you reach out and you meet people from around the world, you realize we're all the same. You know, and hopefully one day the governments will realize that too and start, you know, everybody will start getting along, you know, but we'll see what happens. I mean, at least this is a start. I mean, I can reach out to anybody globally now. We can go through Google and translate, and we can have conversations with anybody on the planet. But I'm encouraging everybody out there, like, reach out to people in different areas and learn. I mean, you'd be surprised. When I saw these guys are polishing cars with the same equipment we're using, and they're cleaning cars the same way we clean cars, and I see guys doing body work and stuff, and, you know, doing stuff the same way we do it over here, you realize, you know what, they're not that much different. And if you leave politics and religion and everything else out of it, we're all human beings. I mean, that's it. We all have the same goals in life, is to live a good life and do the best that we can. So hopefully, like as far as detailing goes, our season in Canada, depending on where you are in Canada, it stalls between September, October, okay, all the way to April. It's stalled, and you have to have some source of income. A lot of guys here, they plow snow, or they do, because they already have a truck. Because a lot of them are using a truck for dual mobile service. A lot of them put on a snow plow and kind of use that. But the thing is, if you have a mild winter, you're not going to, it's going to screw you up. Like, you're not going to make that much money plowing snow. And then, it's kind of like it's cold, but it's not snowing, you're going to be hurting. At least if you're selling online products, anything like microfibers or, anything. You come up with some kind of an idea to generate income during those months, at least it helps you get through till the spring. And one other thing you can do is gift certificates. Like, you got to limit yourself. I'm going to tell you from experience, okay? What we do is we do 20 $200 gift certificates. Now that gives me a little bit of liquidity, so I have some money to get me through until the spring. Okay, it's better than nothing. And then the little jobs that I get sporadically, it's enough to cover my regular bills and get me through. But this online store, it's made a huge difference, because now we're selling, a couple $100 a week, which is fantastic, because now if I don't have the jobs coming in, we're still able to make some money. But what I was going to say is, for a lot of guys out there that are watching, if you're trying to stabilize your income during the winter months, I would strongly recommend doing some gift certificates. Now, watch how many you do, because those 20 gift certificates, you really have to do the work in the spring, and you're not getting paid for it. So you don't want to have too many out there. If you have like 50 gift certificates and they all show up in the month of April and May, you're not going to be able to book in any other work, because you have to, respectfully do those jobs. You can't just, wash your hands of it and say, oh, I'm not doing them. You have to do it. You owe it to the customer. So the thing is, I limit myself at 20, because at least I can spread them out a little bit. If I do 2 gift certificates a week, after 10 weeks, I'm all done that mess, and we're good. And then I can book in other jobs on the other days to keep generating my income, take care of my customers that have come back in the spring, want their interiors done and their exteriors done, and get their cars ready and stuff. But you don't want to jam yourself and have too many booked.
Yeah.
But it's one way of, making yourself some income. And we limit our gift certificates. They're not active until May 1st. And the reason I do that is to make sure the weather's nice enough so that I'm not dealing with floor mats frozen to the floor. And, trying to clean a car in the middle of the winter is the worst thing on earth. Trying to get a car cleaned in the middle of the winter time, especially like month of February. It's a write-off for most of us, So I was going to say, like, if you're trying to figure out some way of getting through the winter months, an online store is not a bad idea. It's not cheap, okay, because you have to buy your stock. You have to build a website. If you can't build a website, then you're going to have to reach out to somebody like my friend Colin and get him to do it. Or, you'll have to invest a little bit in marketing, and there's a little, there's certain things you have to do. You don't just, I'm open. You have to market a little bit, do some videos and promote it and stuff like that. You have to kind of put it out there. You have to advertise for yourself. Anyways, your turn.
Well, let's see. Well, we haven't really talked about music much in a while.
Okay, let's.
And so obviously we're coming up to the end of summertime now, which ironically enough, with everything that's gone on, I would say that it's been a weird summer. One of the things I would say that I miss the most is the whole outside concerts.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some places that have kind of tried to do little things, and they've kind of experimented with having like people on a boat and then all the different things where like everybody's spaced up. But it's just not the same.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of not smelling the barbecues and stuff like that, people are doing it in their yard, obviously,
Yeah.
as always. But like we have like chili cook-offs and stuff like that, corn festival, different festivals that clearly aren't going on right now.
Car shows
that aren't going on.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. But what I will say though is I think a lot of people have been camping.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot about a lot of people going camping and that, and I think one thing that this has made people do is kind of be a little bit inventive in terms of ways to get out and do stuff, considering the fact that you have limited options. Which, in a way, yes, it's unfortunate you can't do everything that you did before, but thinking outside of the box,
yeah,
isn't necessarily a bad thing, because there are still some things that you can do.